Stanley Kubrick is amazing, but 2001: A Space Odyssey is not. So I watched 2001: A Space Odyssey all the way through and took notes. I did this in early February, and I'm just now making this video a whole 2 months and some change later because I've just been confused. Before I get onto my soapbox, I do need to cover one of my bases, and that's to mention editing specifically. This video essay was made as a requirement for my nonlinear editing course, and my professor asked us to mention editing specifically, even as a throwaway line. So, there you have it. 2001: A Space Odyssey by Stanley Kubrick was edited. A shocker. For a peek behind the curtain, I originally watched and took notes on 2001: A Space Odyssey all the way back on the 3rd of February, and my notes have become more or less nonsense, except for one key note, and that's the visual design and ship design is phenomenal. And it's true. What isn't true, however, is that it was imperative that as a filmmaker, I needed to watch this movie, otherwise my whole film career was going to be nigh impossible. I understand that this angle and this position aren't necessarily the most flattering, but it's the one we're going with. For some insane reason, every single person I've talked about film with has told me that seeing 2001: A Space Odyssey was imperative because it was the best film ever made. Ignoring for a moment that art is subjective, if there were to be an objectively defined #1 best movie of all time, it would be The Godfather, as stated by IMDb, Empire, and The Hollywood Reporter. Come to think about it, I actually haven't seen much of any of these films that are touted as the best films of all time. There is a point in all of this garbage. 2001: A Space Odyssey taught me a very valuable lesson in pacing. How did that last shot make you feel? Were you anxious? Did you get a general sense of being unease? Or were you annoyed at how there was so much focus on the door handle for seemingly no reason? In the roughly 4 minutes that this video essay has gone on for, I have had more variety in my pacing than Stanley Kubrick did in the entirety of 2001: A Space Odyssey. It is of my personal belief that to have a one-pace movie is to have a one-note song. That is to say that, in theory, a filmmaker must strive to have the pacing of their film be inconsistent in order to keep the audience engaged. Now, this doesn't mean that you should throw a dart at the wall to determine the speed of your next scene, but rather I am saying that a variety in your pacing is necessary. A movie that is non-stop action will exhaust your viewer, while one that is as slow as a snail stuck in molasses will put your viewer to sleep. Just in case there are some of you who hold 2001: A Space Odyssey in high regard, you probably will think that what I'm about to state and what I have been stating for the entire video is purely fictional, and that I'm violating some sort of film critique law. And you're wrong. In all seriousness, what I've been spewing for the last 4 or so minutes has just been my opinion, but that will not stop some diehard fans from invading my comments and telling me that I'm ruining the movie and or I just don't get it. I would like to mention here at the end that there are some shots that are aesthetically pleasing. However, because the movie drags on for so long, the overall aesthetic overstays its welcome. I'm not even going to touch the ending of the movie because that's where it completely lost me. And thus, 2001: A Space Odyssey was the one that left me spinning.